Okay, I'll give you an example. This morning, my two girls woke up early. I wasn't feeling well, and my husband was upstairs with me. We were watching Peppa Pig, and I thought, what? Peppa Pig? And almost like thinking, oh, we're going back in time and watching that. But I didn't say anything because I thought, well, if they wanted to do that, that's okay. And then I went downstairs, and lo and behold, they were making waffles, and they didn't tidy up. And then I said that the dishwasher was full. And I said, what do you think? If you had emptied that dishwasher and then done the chores and then sat down and watched that, did you think I would be upset with you? And they said no. And they said they're sorry. Normally, I think the initial response would have been, "But you sat there watching this thing," and that's the typical response. And maybe that's what some of us grew up with. That's what we have learned. A lot of the things we do is what we have learned. So when I talk about reinforcers, if your child has done something good, if you give them something, if you add something, and it's called positive reinforcers. So if you add something to them, for example, if they've done their chores, and you say, okay, you can have an extra sweetie, and I'm using sweetie, I don't do sweeties at home, but you give them, oh, that's a sweetie. What do you think they will do next time? They'll keep behaving that way because they will get something. But there's also negative reinforcers. If you take away something unpleasurable, so for example, they've done well, at school this week, and I say, you're supposed to wash the bathroom this week, but don't worry, I will wash it. So you have taken something away from them, but it will make them behave better. You can use punishers as well in that way, but to reduce, that behavior. If you don't want to see that behavior again, the positive punisher, you add something so that behavior goes on. And the immediate one is what? To smack that child, because you're giving them something, but it's immediate, but it doesn't last. That's why a lot of us I wasn't busy, but people were properly patterned. They still turned out very badly. So it doesn't really give the effects that you want. So many ideas. I use different things. We have the treasure box at home, but it's alongside our core values. Don't extend your hand to people except you're extending it in kindness. Keep your hands to yourself. So just things around your core values, come through. I know it's really long and it feels scientific. It is, but yeah, I don't smack my, but I think they try the best.
Thank you. Okay, in terms of AI to enhance your academic work, I would look at it as in two ways. First of all, as a student, what it is that you're trying to get knowledge, and when you do assessments or assignments or exams, is to show your level of knowledge, what you understand. So in terms of using AI, what they don't want, or what academics don't want, or what is not expected, is that you just dish out everything from AI in terms of, so what's your own understanding? What's your level of understanding? That doesn't show. So I think for me, AI could be in two ways. You could think of it from cognitive perspective or from a speed perspective. So cognitive in the sense that you're trying to get the knowledge and information that it has there, but you're trying to get it to add to the knowledge you have. But where you have to be a bit careful about that is that sometimes some of the softwares don't give you the accurate information. So one of the librarians, where I heard this for the first time, said what she did research herself and found out that a lot of times when AI generates stuff for students, it mixes up the references, so it gives you false reference. So when you do that, it can easily be picked up. And so that's why I said it could be for cognitive or speed. Speed in terms of, rather than doing it manually, going through all the Science Direct, going through all the journals and articles yourself, sometimes you could use AI to kind of generate that information, but then you go yourself to check it. So you have to manually, so it does it for speed, and then you have to kind of like go, like a backup for the cognitive side of it is looking at the other journals, the other articles, and then also because you're doing it in a confined space. When I mean confined space, is that you're looking at a certain topic that you've been taught, so you kind of focus on that topic. For an assignment, you're not expected to just focus on that topic, you're expected to read broadly, but what that does is that you know what area you're targeting, and so it helps you to kind of source out the right information and then also do the manual in terms of trying to check to be sure that you have the accurate information rather than fully relying on AI. What students do is that they let AI type it out for them in terms of time. And sometimes if you read it, it's not 100% accurate from the academic perspective. From a grammar perspective, it could be perfect. But from an academic perspective, it's not perfect or accurate, so you need to check that manually and bring in your own personality to it, in terms of, you know, your level of knowledge, you kind of bring in your own writing. Everybody's writing skills are very different, and sometimes that's how they pick it. I can give you an example in terms of not even writing, for research, for presentation. I had a colleague who was saying she was listening to a presentation and she felt like the person had used AI. It wasn't their voice. And she had to investigate, but interesting, and sometimes some people will do it, especially when English is not their first language. So I don't know if the university is going to get to that point where it becomes acceptable, but at this point it's not acceptable. You have to show your personality in it. Does that help?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. When it comes to the issue of mindset, there's no one medicine that fits everything. It's first and foremost to have this aspect of a growth mindset. I can change. Don't say, oh, this is how I've been all my life. Take it or leave it. No, you have to just know that you can change. You can improve. So it's to be looking for that incremental change in yourself. So daily, you can say, okay, set yourself a goal. I need to learn something. Like our speaker here, Eka was oriented to you. She's got to learn Yoruba for a couple of months, and now she can speak Yoruba. That is it. After getting to that point of career, and you're thinking, okay, let me go and speak a new language. So that is the point you're saying here, to say that you can learn something you've not learned before. And that is how you now bring it into your career, to know that if I don't know the job before, just give me, when you even go for interview, that's the attitude you're going to exude, to say that there's nothing you give to me that I will not. Because if she goes for an interview now, she can say that there's nothing I cannot do, even though I've not done this before. I've not learned Yoruba before. I've gone to learn Yoruba in the last 6 months, and I can speak it. I can demonstrate it. If you give me that same one, the same attitude, I will use it to conquer this job. They will give her the job. So it's that kind of mindset. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I absolutely love that. Thank you. Has anybody got another question? Okay. Hold on for the microphone.
Good evening, all. Good evening. I need to start from Dr. What other ways of residency would you suggest aside from employment? And to the GPS lady, sorry I'm forgetting your name. Is it true that we get weaker when we come to the Western countries? People from Africa like us, I feel our bones get weaker. So just help clarify on that. And then the last one, any of you can answer. Is it true that there is racism? Does racism exist here?
All right, thank you very much. The first aspect of the question of residency, I'm not an immigration lawyer. I'm not an immigration lawyer, so it depends on what is your, like what you wrote out. What's your goal? What's your goal? What's your desire? When you came in here, what was the plan you channeled for yourself? The plan you channeled for yourself could be that this place is a stopgap to go to somewhere. So, if that's the case, I will not be able to answer that. So, but you know that for in this country, if you came in here as a student, so if you want to get it, that's 10 years. 10 years route. So it means remain in the country for 10 years, in which you must not live outside the country for more than 180 days in any particular year. So how do you get to that point? So that is one. So you can meet an immigration lawyer who will be able to advise you on other things that you need to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So that really gives us something to work towards next event. So we would have an immigration lawyer to answer this kind of question. So Dr. Adan, to the next question.
Okay, so That wasn't quite clear. Is it weak bones or body weakness?
Immunity, possibly? Do you mean?
No, you know, there is this superstition that Africans have stronger bones.
Okay.
And when we come here, because we don't have vitamin D here, we have less of it, so our bones tend to get weaker. How true?
Okay. Well, there's an aspect of that, but it's not just Africans. Most people are deficient in vitamin D simply because there's not enough sunshine. Even the people, the locals here, and that's why they have more illnesses like multiple sclerosis. It was never something we learned back home in Africa. I only met it here, and it's been linked to the vitamin D deficiency, in some studies. So yes, the fact that we don't get enough sunlight means that most people are deficient in vitamin D, and ideally we should all take vitamin D supplements. Okay. But the other thing is to also ensure that you can get it from some food, oily fish, mackerels and things like that. Have 2 to 3 portions of fish every week. And stay active. If you're active, exercise, your bones will be strong. And you get calcium in food, make sure you drink some milk. Not in terms of like a baby drinking. Some people drink lots of milk. We'll pass that stage, but have enough calcium, soft bones, the skin bones, that sort of thing gives you calcium. So there are lots of factors that go into it. But yes, most people are deficient in vitamin D. The other thing is smoking, but it's not really a big problem I've hardly seen Africans smoking here, But smoking also makes the bones soft. So it's not just a one factor, there are lots of factors that have to do. And the fact that people are indoors a lot means that they're just not exposed to even the little sun that there is. And we're all covered up. So even when you're outside, the sun can't get through. So it's a huge problem. But yes, there are ways to combat it by some of the things I've said. As for racism, that is there, It can be subtle. It would not be obvious in a lot of cases. Like I said, I was called a fool here. But for me, the best thing to do is to achieve massive success. Don't worry about who is calling who what. I have such a thick skin, I don't care what you say to me. I'll just show you by my results. So those same people will come back to, there's a level, you get level, you know how we say it in Nigeria. Just show them excellence and all mouths will close. But as per racism, it is there. Okay, might not be obvious, but it's definitely there. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Just, you need to, as you said, develop a thick skin. Somebody I've told Kobe before, you black man, go back to Africa.
What will you do?
What do you do? Just to overlook it and just don't do a behavior that will, like I said in my presentation, that will make them to actually say, that is what we're expecting you from you. Don't do that. Be on the good side, do things massive. Like now, she's an MBE, the Queen gave her an award. They didn't care about the color of her skin. It's the input she's put into the system. She's done massively. And that, I think, that's the way out. Thank you.
Can I add to that?
Thank you. Yes, please.
I was going to say, there is reason, particularly in my field of work, and I know doctors, because I know people who have said to doctors, can I see a proper doctor? And we know what they're talking about. In my line of work, I get called, I was just saying that they call me waste of space. People have spoken to me, say, can I actually speak with somebody that speaks English? And I will say to them, I'm a graduate of English. So things like that. However, develop a thick skin, but there are situations where you can report it. Don't accept it. If someone said it to you on the street, just walk away. There's nothing you can do with that. But if it was in a place where you worked and a colleague or even a service user has done that to you, you can report it. Unfortunately, you have bosses sometimes who will undermine it as well. But report it, and sometimes you can say to people, that's not acceptable. You can't speak to me in that way. So thick skin, but in situations where it can be reported, then report it, because it's a hate crime. And it can be dealt with quite seriously. So yeah, just wanted to answer that.
Thank you. I would like to hear Dr. Lolia's point of view as well on that. How you deal with that?
I would say pretty much the same thing, and I think Dr. Shalame mentioned about mindset as well. In terms of, I think it's not like I haven't experienced, but I think because I don't have it as a mindset, I would find it really. Sometimes I may not even catch the joke until much later. Say, oh, are they actually referring or thinking because you don't have the mindset? So the reality is that it's actually there, and to be honest, it could be really subtle, but then it's just how you deal with it at time in terms of how you manage it. So I would say, yeah, it's how you, because you need to progress. I recently went to South Africa and I put up a post about, I met a guy who was in prison with Nelson Mandela. He was arrested at 15 or was it 13 and was there till he's probably 60 something now. But there was something he said, someone asked him about how did he overcome it. He said for years he actually hated the people that did what they did to him. But he said he realized the more he hated, the more he found he was imprisoning himself. Because the people were okay, they were working. In fact, sometimes they used to come to the prison because we were going on a tour in the prison in Robben Island. And he said he had to deal with that for himself. So sometimes it's about how do you allow that affect you because you have to progress. So the mindset is also very important. Just has been said, where you have to report it, because especially if it's a toxic working environment where you are staying there longer, you might probably need to do that as opposed to ignoring completely.
Thank you very much. So, because we're running out of time, I've only got a chance for one more question. And please keep it concise, okay?
Good evening. No, it's not actually per se, just a scenario about the racism. So I have a situation, a scenario that it happened. You can actually report it. So I have my 4-year-old son in school. He said, he came to me and mommy, Elias, my classmate, called me a black poo. He said it's a black poo. I said, what? At first, the reaction was, if he calls you a black poo again, tell him he's a white chicken. So I now sat down like, am I actually right? So I went to school the next day. When I took him to school the next day, I called the teacher to tell her that please, you need to help me speak to this child. If possible, speak to the parents and also the school authority, because I don't want this. It's just, my son is just 4 years old and I don't want him to start having this impression of black, white. Please, it's still very, very young. So I reported it and she treated it. So we need to report that also if it's directly to us. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I do appreciate your input on that. And I hope that you found this session really impactful and insightful. So we are really at the end. We've come to the end of the session. So right now, we have something ready for you to nibble on before you go, because I know that there's a lot that you've taken up there, but we need to also fill your stomach. So we have something for you to eat. But these are the questions, like I said earlier, which you can use, to network with one another. And like I said, we're here for you. We're here to help you and to see that you settle in and thrive. So hope that this session has been impactful. We also have a QR code. There we go. So we have a QR code. Please, we really want your feedback because we need to know what to be able to cover, how this session has been, and what we should be covering in the next session. And the next session is going, so we're considering going virtual, but then it's still a consideration. So please give us your feedback, whatever you think and how we can make the session better, and also how we can get more people involved, because right now, we've only got most people from Robert Gordon University. We have 1 or 2 from University of Aberdeen, but we need more of them represented. And there's also other universities from close by around Aberdeen. So we need more people to get the information that's been provided here today. So thank you very much, everybody. Sorry, are you saying something?
Just one question.
Maybe you can ask that in the networking session, if that's okay, because we need to lock up here. There's staff waiting to close. So thank you very much, everybody. We've actually come to the end of Thrive 2024. I'm so glad that you all were able to make it, and thank you so much for honoring us with your time, especially those who came early. For those who came late, please make sure you plan better next time to be here. Cancel every other engagement. so you can be here on time. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody. And thank you to our speakers. Thank you, Dr. Shola. Thank you, Dr. Adaize. Thank you, Mrs. Ashaye. Thank you very much, Dr. Lolia. I do appreciate you all. I want to thank, please don't forget because we'll be taking photos. So I want to thank my husband for being such a great support, helping me or helping us go through this journey. It's been a journey together, and I just want to thank him because he sees me working day and night, and he's there day and night to support. I want to thank my friend and sister, Ene Oga, who has also been very supportive. Thank you very much, Ene. I want to thank the rector of the University of Aberdeen, Mrs. Martina Chukuma Ezike. She is the founder of the Asthma Allergy Foundation, which is where we are sitting today. So I want to thank her and the entire staff of this organization for making this happen, for us to use their space today. I want to thank our graphic people. As you can see, the graphics have been excellent from the start to the end. I want to thank Mr. Omoni. If you need a graphic person, you can contact me and I'll link you up to him. I want to thank our beautiful designer who put this up together. Thank you everybody who has been sharing the post on social media, who has also invited people and have not been able to make it. We still thank you and thank you again for your time. We cannot take it for granted. Thank you very much.